President Muhammadu Buhari is assuring Nigerians of adequate security ahead of the general elections on Saturday. Speaking from Addis Ababa, Buhari urges traditional and religious leaders in Nigeria to use their position to promote peace. He's also appealing to Nigerians to remain patient as the administration takes action to eliminate the hardship caused by the Naira redesign policy, I should say.
Fellow Nigerians, God has once again brought us to another season of general elections across the country. I am therefore calling on all of you to exercise your franchise in a peaceful atmosphere. I am calling on specifically our traditional rulers, religious leaders, and parents to warn their followers and wards alike to not allow themselves to be used by a few to foment trouble. I want to assure you that the government has taken adequate security measures to allow everyone to come out and cast their votes. I am therefore appealing to everyone to give them the necessary support. Fellow Nigerians, I want to use this opportunity to once again thank you for electing me to be your president on 2 occasions. Finally, I want to once again assure you that I am fully aware of the current hardship you are facing as a result of some policies of the government which are meant to bring overall improvement to the country. I am appealing to you to exercise further patience as we take appropriate measures to ease these hardships. God willing, there will be light at the end of the tunnel.
National Working Committee (NWC) of the All Progressive Congress (APC) and governors elected on the party's platform called on President Muhammadu Buhari to obey the Supreme Court's interim injunction on the Naira redesign project, saying the policy and its implementation are causing tremendous difficulties to citizens and national economy. The national chairman of the APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, in a resolution read yesterday at the end of an emergency meeting of the party, urged the president to intervene in resolving the issues which he said are causing great problems for the economy. Adamu had called the meeting to intervene in the current phase of between governors elected on the platform of the party and the president. In attendance were the presidential candidates of the APC, Bola Tinubu, 11 governors and 2 deputy governors.
We have resolved as follows. We note very seriously that the program and its implementation is causing tremendous difficulties to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and to the national economy. That we urge the Attorney General of the Federation and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to respect the Supreme Court's order of interim injunction, which is still persisting. That the meeting is urging His Excellency, Mr. President, to intervene in resolving the issues that are causing these great difficulties to the people and to the economy.
All right, a lot to talk about, Ayo.
Well, thank you very much, Rufai, and I must say welcome back again, Doctor. You're always missed when you're not around, so great to see you. Great way to start a very important week in the political landscape, and I dare say, in fact, the economy, life of Nigeria as we inch closer to the polls on the 25th of February 2023, which is on Saturday in 4 days' time, or in 5 days' time. Now, this meeting it wasn't a surprise. We had seen a circular that had gone around talking about the fact that the National Working Committee of the APC was going to meet with the governors who had been elected on the platform of the APC. They met at the National Secretariat, APC National Secretariat in Abuja. The outcomes, as we heard the national chairman say just a few minutes ago, is not surprising either, as the APC APC governors have not minced words in terms of their stance with regards to the Naira redesign policy and, very importantly, the deadline set, the Supreme Court judgment, and the Naira scarcity. Now, just a few things to highlight is the fact that, again, just responding to questions around the importance and why this has taken the APC governors, it has become priority for them to address amidst the many issues. Of course, we can understand why. They've talked about the hardship that their citizens or members of their states are facing, and so as responsible governors, they're standing out to speak against the policy. There've also been a disarray with regards to how the APC governors are suing their own president, the president in their own party, making the APC an opposition to itself, in effect. And so we've seen drama unfold in the past few days. Also put that side by side by the speech made by the president, which was earlier shown from the AU summit in Ethiopia, saying that he didn't change his mind around the fact that there was no going back, and just assuring Nigerians that there will be light at the end of the tunnel. So people should please exercise patience. Two things I'll just talk about here or highlight from this meeting. The APC governors had said the president's action could potentially cost the ruling party the forthcoming elections. And this is glaring. We've talked about this and said perhaps this is even more priority for them than the hardship that their people are facing, because they have an election to win, and you then begin to ask the question that whose side is the president on? He reiterated in his address that he was supporting Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that he's reliable and was going to be building on the gains of his administration, which some of his party members have tried to dissociate from, saying that he was going to stand on his own record and stand on his own, and even overturn some policies that the president has made. Again, people caught in the middle of this policy, I quite, should I say, commiserate or perhaps empathize with the bank staff, senior bank staff, who have had to stand in this middle and not know what to do. Should we collect 1,000 naira and 500 naira old notes, or should we listen to the president? And they have come under attacks by the customers that they serve. And so we need to come to a point where we understand what we're doing. We're going to talk about this later, where some governors are sharing old notes against the president's directives. People are complaining bus drivers are not collecting old notes. People had to walk. So there's hardship. So this is my final charge to the CBN. If this redesign policy, or if it must work, as the president has insisted that it's for the gain of Nigeria, let us flood the markets with the older notes. The 50 naira notes, 100 naira notes, nothing happened to them. So there shouldn't be a reason why they also should be scarce. The 200 naira notes that were returned, can they bring them back into circulation? In speaking to some bank officials, they had mentioned that the logistics problem, they hadn't gotten the notes. Can we have a situation, a solution to this issue in Nigeria so that we can have some peace and calm?
Okay. I think the issues, we got two reports there. Okay, two things to deal with. First, the broadcast by the president with regard to the elections. What the president has done is to reassure Nigerians that he remains committed to seeing this election through. And I think that is a very strong, very good confidence-building, trust-building, move, narrative, declaration, reassurance, to the extent that the international community will be reassured that the president of Nigeria is truly committed. He has made this commitment again and again. I think 5 days to the election, 6 days to the election, the president saying the same thing, it's a very strong signal, both to the local community and international stakeholders. Nigeria not being an island unto itself. Number two, the president also restated that he is aware of the difficulties that Nigerians are passing through with regard to access to the new currency notes, but that his government will do whatever is possible to make sure that this is addressed. I think that's a very important issue, and I hope that this week the Nigerians will begin to see a difference in terms of adherence, in that direction. He having ordered last week the CBN to make sure that the notes are available and that does not become a problem to the electoral process. Number three, he used the opportunity of his very brief address, the second within a week, to tell Nigerians that the candidate of his party is not running in this election, where he doesn't have an option in that matter. The tenure of the president of Nigeria is properly defined in the Constitution. It's just maximum of 2 terms in office, and he has exhausted that. We expect him to go on May 29. So he's not talking about 3rd term. He has said it repeatedly. So he says the candidate of his party is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he's urging Nigerians to vote for the candidate of his party. Well, what other people will say is that this election will be a referendum on the Buhari administration, on the APC administration in the last 8 years. And the people of Nigeria are the ones that should be empowered to make an informed choice and to choose whether they want to reward APC for what the APC has been able to do in 8 years or not, and whether they think that they want the continuity of what they have experienced under President Muhammadu Buhari. But we see the president in his last moments acting presidential. And I think, his strategies, last minute, they are beginning to get, smart ideas about how to be presidential and to say the right things. But that's by the way. The second issue is the leadership of the APC coming together over the weekend and saying the party stands by those governors who have gone to court. Now, those governors who have gone to court, APC governors, they instituted a case invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to say that the Naira redesign policy did not work, and that, they wanted an ex parte injunction to suspend it. And the court ruled on February 8th that, the status quo ante bellum, which means the position among the disputants before the crisis began, should be maintained. And that was the position that was again retained by the Supreme Court on Wednesday last week. But on Thursday, the president of Nigeria had a national broadcast in which, as I pointed out on this program last week, he tactically undermined the Supreme Court of Nigeria, because nobody is above the rule of law. It is true that under Section 308, that the president of Nigeria cannot be charged for contempt because he's in office. 74 persons cannot be charged. President, vice president, governor, deputy governors. The number is 74 in total. But the president undermined the Supreme Court. But people have also argued that the president acted under Section 5 of the Constitution, also acted under Section 14 of Section 2 of the Constitution in the public interest. So, which do you place above the other? Public interest or the rule of law? And that's why you have that disagreement between Festus Keyamo, SAN, and Babatunde Fashola, SAN. Both of them arguing from the two ends of the spectrum. Keyamo saying the rule of law should prevail, Babatunde Fashola saying public interest should prevail. And I think that is what makes this week very interesting for Nigeria. When the Supreme Court reconvenes on Wednesday, and all the consolidated suits on both sides, 10 on the side of the plaintiffs, 3 on the side of the respondents, the Attorney General of the Federation having been joined by the governors of Bayelsa and the AGF Bayelsa, AGF Edo State. It will be interesting to see whether, as Michael Zekome has argued in the public domain, whether the Supreme Court will back and bite and reprimand the president. However, as I pointed out yesterday on another program on this station, there have been countries whereby the Supreme Court, the government overruled the Supreme Court. And there are a plethora of cases from the United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Germany, even the United States, where the court, the apex court will rule, and the government of the day will say, no, we are going in this direction, and nothing will happen. So we face a constitutional crisis. We face a test for jurisprudence. I think Wednesday will be crucial how their lordships, treat the matter. But what is important at the end of the day is not the argument among the learned silks on one side or the other. What is important is that this is a crucial week for Nigeria. Saturday, we are all going to the polls. Presidential and National Assembly elections. The people of Nigeria should be the ones to be empowered to vote. Some governors have overruled the president of Nigeria. Do they have such powers? They have ordered that the old notes, all the old notes should still be in circulation. But Wednesday will be the determining factor. Will the Supreme Court of Nigeria show courage? Or will the Supreme Court of Nigeria be cowardly? Or will the Supreme Court of Nigeria throw his hands up in despair? But whatever happens is that Nigerians want to vote. And there is great enthusiasm out there. And we support that enthusiasm and aspiration and the declaration by the president that his government is committed to this transition.
Right, so a lot will have to unpack. The president is out there, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, gives a speech, about a 2.5-minute speech, says it the way it is. He understands the plight of Nigerians. Yes, Nigerians are suffering, we're not going to move away from that. But the truth is, let's empirically analyze what is causing the suffering. It is largely because of the shenanigan of our politicians. Also, the CBN should be able to do a lot as regards its logistical process. Largely the shenanigan of our politicians because they are mopping up a lot of cash for elections. And it is obvious. The president named the candidate of his party and said, please vote for him. But let's also put on record, this was the same candidate that said, and I quote, they have no brain. They turned 200 naira to 800 naira. That was Buhari's legacy. That the candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, just tore to threads. And these are facts. Fact check me. If Bola Tinubu never said that. It wasn't doctored. Fact check me. That was the policy and the legacy of President Muhammadu Buhari that the APC candidate sold to Nigerians in 2015. Say Baba, say Buhari. So there's an anathema. And this anathema even leads to the meeting that was held in Abuja. The APC governors kicking against the president. In the mix of all of this is the Supreme Court. And hopefully the Supreme Court will be able to sit on that case because more cases have been added. I saw another one filed recently by A.G. Owonikoko. Maybe it's an addendum. We'll see how it pans out in the Supreme Court. So the president has said all the right things as regards calming the people down. And please calm things down. Everybody's all feeling the bite. But sorry about it, Nigerians. And the CBN too should do a lot to ease out the logistical interplay. But going further, there's a civil war in the APC. 2 factions. You can even see 2 ministers fighting, Keyamo and Fashola, in public interest. Yes, the president might have taken his decision in public interest, but Keyamo is saying no, contempt. And they are going back and forth. These are 2 ministers in one cabinet. So the cabinet itself is divided. Many people in the APC are at loggerheads. I think the bone of contention we should ask is, why are the APC governors so hell-bent on spending this money prior to elections? They have visible evidence. One is what happened in Ogun State, where the old note was being given in vote buying to somebody. And the next thing they said is, don't worry, they will collect it after the election. The governor will be re-elected. We'll collect it. But that same money on the street has lost its value. And that's why that woman was adamant. And please, Nigerians, be careful what you fall for this political season. And when I even saw the amount of money, so is your 4 years future worth 5,000 naira? That's why you've got to say no to vote buying. Taking it another step further, the other argument people make, I've also heard this argument, is why now? Why didn't President Muhammadu Buhari do it in 2019 when he was running? Then the vice president gave trader money. Why didn't they do it then? Is there any timeline on doing the right thing, I ask? Is there any timeline? Is there any timeline on doing the right thing? Once you discover something is the right thing to do, should you put a particular timeline and say you can't do the right thing at this time? I also ask, Yesterday made it 5 years since Leah Sharibu was captured. I would have thought that these governors, or the governor in which the states, in Dapchi, where Leah, will have taken the federal government on. I made a lot of noise as regards it. But we've all moved on, so it speaks volumes about the priority. And that's why Nigerians, please, it is going to be a very crucial week. The number one thing you'll do is please be calm. Because a lot of provocation will come this week. Be very calm, look forward, and also look at the arguments empirically. Nobody is saying people are not suffering the hardship. But we've given the stated reasons for the hardship. Because you see, this same money you say is not in circulation. One way or the other, politicians will get it to spend on election day. You'll see. You'll see videos. You'll see the facts. So the money is being largely mopped up, and there are evidence as regards people mopping this up. The deals politicians are making with banks. But you need to be calm. This too will pass. And largely most of the pressure you will see will automatically reduce after the elections. So please, do not be caught in this whirlwind. Let the Supreme Court do its thing. Let the Supreme Court sit on the cases in this week. We'll see how it pans out. But also, let's also be circumspect and look truly into the details of the matter. God will help and bless and continue to sustain the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We'll have safe elections this week, and things will be well with our great country. But we need to be circumspect Nigerians. These elections are like none we've ever had in recent time. It is for the soul of Nigeria.
Okay, just before we go, you refer to the case in which AJ Owonikoko SAN's name appeared.
Yeah.
That's another suit that has now been filed by the APC governors, challenging the decision, the directive of the president of Nigeria to say that old 200 naira notes should continue to be in circulation till April 10. And they are saying that that is in contempt of the Supreme Court. And in that, application that they have filed before the Supreme Court, they are asking the court to invoke its disciplinary jurisdiction under Section 6, Section 232, and Section 287 of the Constitution. So that's another matter entirely. Yeah. And there are people like, Zekome and others who are saying that the Supreme Court should not allow it to slide, that the Supreme Court should back and bite, even if the president is protected in the meantime under Section 308 of the same 1999 Constitution.
In all of this, time will tell. Thank you so much for the update, Dr. Abati.